So let's see how to use the method completing the square to solve quadratic equations. So there's obviously other methods to solve quadratic equations, such as factoring, graphing, or the quadratic formula. But today we're going to be looking at completing the square. So quadratic equations like these are written in standard form, which is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we see that this equation here also follows that form, where 1 is equal to a, negative 4 is equal to b, and 1 equals c. So the first thing we're going to have to do to complete the square is first, we have to see if we even need to use it. So here we can see that we can't just normally factor it and solve for 0. So we need to manipulate the left side so that we can factor it. So what we're going to do is first, let's just write out the equation again. X squared minus 4x plus 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to move c to the other side so we can make space for a new value that will allow us to factorize the left side. So we're going to move 1 to the right side. Now we're going to have x squared minus 4x equals negative 1. And I made space here for a reason. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take negative 4, because that's our b value here. And what we're going to do is, so we have b equals negative 4. What we're going to do is, over here, we're going to make our new value b over 2 squared. So what we're going to do, the same thing with negative 4. This is going to be negative 4 over 2 squared. And this is going to equal 4. So now we're going to add 4. But since we added 4 on the left side, we're also going to have to add it to the right side. So plus 4. Now our new equation is x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 3. And now on the left side, we can factorize this to be x minus 2 squared, and this equals 3. Now we can just square both sides and solve it. So let's just square both sides. And now we just add 2. And now we have our final answer. X equals 2 plus or minus square root 3. And that's our final answer. We have our two values for x. Okay, question 2, we have x squared plus 6x plus 2 equals 0. So this one we're going to have to use completing the square as well, because we can't factor this just from this equation itself. So we're going to have to manipulate it again. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 2 equals 0. So once again, we're going to move our c value to the other side, minus 2 on both sides. X squared plus 6x equals negative 2. And we see our b value equals 6. And 6 over 2, b over 2 squared equals 9. 6 over 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So now we're going to add 9 on this side and 9 on this side as well. So now we have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 7. Now we can factor this to be x plus 3 squared equals 7. Now once again, we can square root both sides, and we have x plus 3 equals plus or minus square root 7, and now we can subtract 3 on both sides, and we have our answer. X equals negative 3 plus or minus square root 7. And that's our final answer. Okay, question 3, we have x squared minus 14x plus 46 equals 0. And once again, we cannot factorize it just from this itself. So let's write out the equation again. 14x plus 46 equals 0. And we're going to move 46 to the right side. So now we have x squared minus 14x equals negative 46. And now once again, we're going to take our b value. So this time b equals negative 14. And we're going to have negative 14 divided by 2 squared. And this is going to equal 49. So we're going to add 49 here and 49 on the right side as well. So now we can factor this to be x minus 7 squared, and this equals negative 46 plus 49 equals 3. So we can square root both sides. And now we have x minus 7 equals plus minus root 3. Now we can write out our answer. X equals plus 7 on both sides. 7 plus or minus square root 3. And that's our final answer. Question 4, we have 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. So this time, a is actually not 1 anymore. It's equal to 2. Since it's not equal to 1, we're going to have to manipulate it once again so that we have a as a equal to 1. So 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. So to do that, we're going to divide the entire equation by our a value to get 1. So we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. Now we have x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2 equals 0. Now even though we have a fraction here, it's okay. It's going to work out on its own. So now we're going to do the exact same thing we did earlier. We're going to move our c value because we can't factor it just yet. So we're going to subtract by 1 over 2 on both sides. And now we're going to have x squared plus 2x equals negative 1 over 2. Now we have our b value to be 2. So we can do 2 divided by 2 squared, and this is going to equal 1. So now we're going to add 1 on both sides. And now we can factor this. So we can have x plus 1 squared equals negative 1 over 2 plus 1 is just 1 over 2. So now we can square root both sides. And now we have, I'll write over here, x plus 1 equal to plus or minus square root 1 over 2. Now we can just solve for x by subtracting 1. And now we have our final answer. X equals negative 1 plus or minus square root 1 over 2. And this is going to be our final answer. Okay, question 5, we have 2x squared minus 10x plus 3 equals 0. So once again, our a value is not 1, and this time it's 2 once again. So we have our equation 2x squared minus 10x plus 3 equals 0. So we're going to have to divide our entire equation by our a value, which is 2, on both sides. So now we have x squared minus 5x plus 3 over 2 equals 0. Now we're going to have to move our c value again because we can't factor it yet to the other side. Minus 3 over 2 and minus 3 over 2. So we have our equation x squared minus 5x equals negative 3 over 2. And our b value is negative 5. So we're going to have to do negative 5 divided by 2 squared, and this is going to equal 25 divided by 4. So we're going to add our new c value on both sides, 25 over 4 and plus 25 over 4. Now we can actually factor this to be x minus 5 over 2 squared equals, and this adds up to be 19 over 4. Now we're going to square root both sides. And now we're going to have x minus 5 over 2 equal plus or minus square root 19 over 4. And now we can add this on both sides. So we have x equals 5 over 2 plus or minus 19 over 4. And that's our final answer.